Hey guys, guess what day it is? I'll give you 10 seconds to guess. 1, 2, 10. It's National Geography Day! We finally made it! It's GIS Day, guys! And it is a good day to be alive. Oh, glory to thee, sweet geography! You guide us along the turbulent sea. Forever once was a man that loved geography. I can tell you with utmost confidence, it is me! I came up with that literally on the spot, so I don't care. That is now the official national anthem of this day. Alright, cool. Today, I gotta bump it up a notch. We can't just talk about one particular island in One Piece. Oh no. I did throw out the idea of talking about the entire world, but I'm like, alright, maybe that might be biting off a little bit more than I can chew, right? Today, we will be discussing the New World. What part of the New World? All of it! That's what, well, the New World in general, because, you know, there's a lot of islands we've already discussed, and a lot of islands we haven't even seen yet. What's up with Mysterion Island? I want to know what was up with Mysterion Island. You know, the Straw Hats arrive in the New World, and they got the log pose, and there's 3 islands that New World log pose points to, but Luffy being Luffy decides to ixnay all of them and go to Punk Hazard instead, which wasn't even one of the choices. It's a very Luffy thing to do, but you had Mysterion Island, you had Risky Red Island, and you had Raijin Island, and out of those 3, the only island we actually got to see was Raijin Island, which the Straw Hats also never went there, so who knows what's up with that place, right? But I want to know what's up with that Mysterion Island place. Risky Red Island, I suppose, if you want to reveal that in a data book or something, but we need to go to Mysterion Island, okay? Is the whole island, like, filled with a bunch of mystery boxes? That would be great. Alright, but no. The New World, you know, this was a place that was hyped up for, this was a place that was hyped up for so long, okay? For a very long time in One Piece, you know, the Grand Line itself was considered this pirate graveyard, okay? So Oda really built up that hype in the East Blue. You know, the East Blue is a pretty regular ocean by most standards. Like, you use regular compasses to navigate it and everything like that. The weather pattern is pretty consistent. You know, in the winter it's cold, in the summer it's hot, you know, all that stuff. But Oda kept building up the Grand Line. It was like, oh man, that's the place. You know, logic nor reason have no place there, right? So the Straw Hats finally land in the Grand Line, and the first thing they encounter is the giant whale Laboon, and on their way from the Twin Capes to Whiskey Peak, there was crazy weather, and there was the whole thing about each individual island having a specific climate, and, you know, how intersections between those islands cause crazy weather patterns, like you could be sailing around and all of a sudden it could be raining one minute, and then sunny the next, and then a typhoon the next, and then a giant whirlpool forms and sucks you in, right? So that was really crazy. Beyond that, there was also weather patterns that just defied common sense. Like, there was one time they were sailing around, and I think there was candy rain that just started raining down on them, you know? And of course, all the weird sea monsters and things that exist in the Grand Line, right? But as we were nearing the end of the first half of the Grand Line, after Enies Lobby, we learn about the New World, we learn about the Yonko, we learn about how, okay, there's this second half, because, you know, the Red Line divides the world, you know, at the Prime Meridian, so you gotta go up the Red Line through Reverse Mountain to get into the first half of the Grand Line, but it just makes sense that eventually you're going to have to pass over the other half at one point. So what's up with the other half of the Grand Line? Well, that part is called the New World, because, yeah, while the Grand Line, you know, was very dangerous. It was probably a lot more dangerous back during Roger's day, and before that, even in Rox's day, right? It was really, really dangerous. So that just gives more credit to when Brook and the Rumbar crew and Yorkie, when they were choosing to sail the Grand Line back 50 years ago, 52 years ago now, you know, the first half of the Grand Line was probably just considered as dangerous as the New World was right now in the story, if not even more dangerous, okay? So, you know, the Rumbar crew, they had some balls. Not so much Brook anymore, yo, but they had balls, alright? So, we get, you know, we're starting to get to the end, and I think this is something that actually happens with a lot of crews. While they're sailing along the first half, which we later learn is called Paradise, get to that in a second, why it's called Paradise, they get a little bit more confident, you know? It's like they start off and it's crazy. The weather pattern, you can't navigate with a regular compass anymore. You gotta use the log pose. You gotta lock onto the magnetic pole of each island. There's crazy stuff like Sky Islands you gotta go to, knock upstream, all that nonsense. But eventually I think you get used to it, and the Straw Hats did. did. Nami was pretty shocked by it at first, but after journeying from island to island, she started to figure out how the Grand Line operated, and she's like, okay, we got this, right? So I feel like a lot of people get overconfident in the first half, and then they just immediately make the jump to the second half, like a lot of the other supernovas did, like Apu, Kid, Drake, Bonnie, Beiji. They all just immediately went to the New World right after Marineford. Law chose to stay behind for a little bit and train, and the Straw Hats obviously did their whole thing where they were separated by Kuma and they had to do the 2-year training, obviously. But beyond that, the other supernovas just decided to jump right in. And from what we saw, the challenges they met were very unexpected. We kind of cut to some random islands all over the New World. That's Oda basically just giving us the flavor and just being like, okay, this is the place the Straw Hats are training for 2 years to get into, so I'm just going to give you a little taste of what it's like. Now, the supernovas, they were strong enough to the point where they're not going to die immediately upon entering it, although you got to be worrisome about that too. Like, you know, just because you have a pretty good handle on the first half doesn't mean you're guaranteed to last very long in the second half, okay? Just, you know, the supernovas were the exception because those are like the strongest pirates that existed, that were the rookies of that age, okay? So, and they were the worst generation as well. So they're particularly strong even for, you know, supernovas, but damn, you gotta really watch it, because it's very easy for you just to pop in. First off, just getting to the New World itself, traveling through, you know, the undersea currents, and then getting to Fishman Island and traveling back up, you have pretty good chances that you're gonna be crushed or being sent off course by that giant, that white strum thing that caught up the Sunny and blew it away. Giant Sea King could eat you. Not even a Sea King, giant fish could eat you. You know, any number of things could eat you down there. But if you are lucky enough to go all the way down, reach Fishman Island, then get all the way back up again, you might just get capped off immediately just by the weather, okay? Or if you don't have an updated log pose with the 3 different compass faces, you might just get lost and die that way. So, yeah. But the situation we saw with the supernovas when they arrived, we saw the on-air pirates that were captained by Apu. They landed on some random spring island, and they were being chased by giant boars. That wasn't really the weird part, though. A little weirder was the fact that when they went to go jump off a cliff to escape the boars, they just kind of kept on running on air, and that's the joke. It's like the on-air pirates are running on air. But no, it's like, what the hell was up with that island, right? I guess gravity just takes it there. It's just like, it's like, yeah, gravity, laws of physics, screw that. This is giant pig gravity screw island. You know, like, okay. Then we had Beiji. Beiji and his crew were in the Nosta Castello. They were sailing within his ship, and then all of a sudden, this giant moon planet thing just kind of like extends from the heavens like an alien ship, and then just sucks up the freaking ship of the fire tank crew and just boom, just hits the top of it. Like, this thing emits its own gravitational pull, so it gets sucked up, and they somehow managed to get out of that. We don't even know what the hell that thing was. We know Beiji and the fire tank crew eventually ended up working for Big Mom, but that thing did not seem like it was related to Big Mom at all. Like, Big Mom never busted out the giant planet alien spacecraft thing when she was going up against the Straw Hats, okay? So I'm thinking that was something, that was probably an island, maybe a sky island, but it was a sky island that had a really unique magnetic or gravitational pull to it, you know, and we don't know really what's going on there, right? Let's see, Kid got it pretty easy. Kid just landed on an island that had weird-shaped towers and giant 4-leaf clovers. So, Kid landed in the Clover Kingdom, I guess. And it was never the same after that. You know, especially since he kind of beat the crap out of another rival pirate crew and threw them up on stakes and just declared how he was going to rule that age. So, Kid and Killer, they got it off pretty easy. We did see Blackbeard very briefly when he first arrived in the New World. It was the same island where Bonnie was at, or rather the Blackbeard crew might have captured Bonnie and brought her to that island, or she might have been at that island already. It was an island perpetually on fire. And this could not have been Punk Hazard because this happened right after Marineford, like the following weeks after Marineford. And I'm pretty sure the fight between Akainu and not Kizaru. I keep saying Akainu and Kizaru. That would be an awesome fight to see. I'm not throwing that out of the possibilities. That would be cool to see. But it was Akainu and Kuzan, or Akainu and Aokiji. I think this was well before they fought on Punk Hazard and created the landscape that currently exists. So there's just some other random island in the New World that is just constantly set ablaze, where a race of, I don't know, volcano people live there, I suppose. That would be neat, right? Let's see, who else? Drake. Drake landed on Kaido's island. This was also an island that doesn't seem to, like, screw with you too much in terms of gravity, or it's not lit on fire. It's a winter island. It's very cold. The entire island seemed to be made out of metal and machinery. The trees look like they're made out of metal, like all like patched together, and the mountains themselves do not look natural. The mountains themselves look like they were constructed. This was also the island where Caribou landed after the storm, and he found that factory, and he became the ruler of that revolution, and then Drake beat the shit out of him, and then dragged him back to Wano, and he threw him in Udon prison. Okay, so that's that island. It's Kaido's island, and there were cyborgs there, so definitely a mechanical theme from that island. In the anime, it was actually expanded upon a little more, where there was an entire domed city. Like, Drake is walking through the island, and all of a sudden there's this giant dome covered in ice, and it just kind of like, the dome opens up, and there's a freaking city inside of it. So it's expanded upon a little bit more there in the anime. Who else? Arouge goes to Raijin Island. Once again, we don't get to see the island itself. We just see it from a distance. Raijin being the god of thunder, so the entire island is just constantly being bombarded with a lightning rain. This was also the kind of rain that Nami was reading about at Weatheria when she was reading the logs of Weatheria, so that indicates that island had also traveled to the New World before, so very useful for Nami's research. In fact, you know what? I'm going to throw this out there. I mean, the best kind of experience is hands-on experience. Maybe Weatheria did float, because it's capable of just floating right over the red line into the New World, so maybe Nami did some weather training in the New World for a little while. Maybe Haradis was just like, hello there, Nami. Well, today we're setting sail for the other side of the the other side of the red line to the New World. We're going to do some research. Rumor has it there's an island where it rains jukeboxes, and I love my beats. I'm sorry, I gotta funnel off all this excitement somehow, but no, whatever. And Nami's just like, all right, sure, island that rains jukeboxes, fine, let's go. And they just, here's the red line, here's Weatheria, and it just kind of like floats over, and then they just observe what's going on, and then after that, just go back over and drop Nami off at Sabaody, so it's very possible that that's the case. So, yeah, that's Raijin Island, and right before arriving at Raijin Island, Arouge encountered this creepy old woman named Casa, because umbrella in Japanese is Casa, so she's like, hello there, dearie, would you like an umbrella? And then that's all we got from that, so I'm like, Oda, what was up with this island? Seriously, like, if you're not going to explain it in the story, could you at least do an SBS about it or something? Like, what was the deal with the creepy old lady and the island with electricity? Like, if the Straw Hats did end up going there at some point, would they have had some kind of crazy adventure? Is there some sort of, like, I like to imagine there was, like, a creepy cult on the island. Like, there was a creepy cult worshipping maybe a former user of the Goro Goro no Mi. Like, before Eneru, somebody had the Goro Goro no Mi, awakened it, transformed Raijin Island into what it is now, perpetual lightning rain. This could have been centuries ago, all right? And so they revere this guy as their new god, and maybe the former user of the Goro Goro no Mi literally ascended into the sky and then died there, and then his fruit was reincarnated in the sky, which is where Eneru found it at Bricca. It's possible, right? They like if you encountered a being that had complete control over the Goro Goro no Mi, that awakened it, was basically like a lightning god in and of themselves, and then, changed the landscape of an entire island, and then raised up a cult of followers, and then decided to ascend to on high. You'd think you'd be like, okay, yeah, we're gonna worship that guy now. He's basically a god, he is a god. So maybe, yeah. Was that something with that island? That's what I like to think. That's my headcanon, but I don't know. So yeah, that was pretty much, like I said, Law did not go, Luffy and Zoro didn't go until 2 years later, and I don't think any of the other members of the Hawkins, where did Hawkins go? Hawkins went to Food Vaulton. Food Vaulton was just a normal island. It was really the most boring out of all of them. It was an island that Whitebeard used to control. After his death, Brownbeard took it over. Hawkins just arrived and took out Brownbeard. He ended up at Punk Hazard. He's part crocodile now, just roll with it. And yeah, so Hawkins, though, didn't really encounter anything crazy. He just seemed to have the best chance out of everything next to Kid. He just kind of landed on the island just like, oh, just a regular nice little town you got here. Oh, Brownbeard? Oh, okay. Slice. I'm like, okay. Hello there, shopkeep. I would like to take some ale for my crew. And Faust, who is a kitty cat. Yeah. Okay, then, here you are. Thank you, sir. Glug, glug. You know, so that's pretty much all the supernovas there. So that's our first, like, just flavoring of the new world, of what it's like, okay? Now, here's something I think Oda did drop the ball on a little bit. It really does seem like it was built up so much, and when we first got into the new world, the weather was crazy, but then after the first few arcs, it kind of just fizzled out again, you know? It just, like, the procedure of getting on the Sunny and sailing to a new island is really not that big of a deal now. Like, going from Punk Hazard to Dressrosa didn't seem to be that big of a deal. Traveling from Dressrosa to Zoe, not that many issues. Wano was difficult, but that was not really because of the ocean itself. That was more of just the climate around Wano and the fact they had to go up a giant freaking, you know, waterfall. Even getting into Totland, really, was not all that difficult, honestly. I'm just thinking, like, with the crazy weather patterns and everything, Oda's kind of slacking on that right now. You know, I think a lot about this compared to the Gourmet World from Toriko, which the Gourmet World I loved, because in that manga, in Toriko, you had the human world, which is right in the center, and then the planet in Toriko is a lot bigger than the planet Earth. It's like the size of Jupiter, okay? So the human world is like right in the center, and then you got the rest of the Gourmet World, most of the planet, okay? And man, that manga took that concept of the Gourmet World and went insane with it. Like, when we first get introduced to the Gourmet World proper, we see these giant beasts. We see a rhino that's the size of a mountain that has like a base, like a highly technological like fortress on its back. We see Cthulhu walking around stepping on things. When we see Toriko there after the time skip, there's a place called the Land Sea. It's a place that has grass, bushes, and trees, but they all have the consistency of water. And that doesn't make any sense. It's like, that's a tree, but it's also liquid. It's like, no, it's an actual tree. It's got bark and leaves. It just happens to be made out of liquid. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Gourmet World. Mountains fall from the sky in this place as just ordinary weather patterns. That's the kind of stuff I wanted to see in the new world in One Piece, and we didn't really get it all that much. This was something, honestly, I think the anime did a lot better when the Straw Hats first arrived. Okay, so when the Straw Hats were leaving Fishman Island, and they were ascending the sea currents, and they reached the top of it with the island whales there, in the manga, they were right next to Punk Hazard. So when they popped out of the ocean, I believe it was raining, and they could see the fires of Punk Hazard in the distance, and so they got the distress call from that place, and so they decided to go there. Now, in the anime, it was a little different because they had to tie this into the, I think, Z's Ambition little movie tie-in arc, so they didn't go to Punk Hazard right after arriving in the new world. In place of that, though, when they arrived, it was a really bad, crazy, insane thunderstorm, and this place that they landed in was called the Ill-Tempered Sea. And this sea did the kind of stuff that I thought all of the new world was going to be, where you arrive in this ocean and the weather changes like not even every like minute or so. It's like every snap of the fingers it changes. 1 second it's snow, like not just snow, like an avalanche just falling from the sky. Then it's rain droplets the size of freaking ocean liners. Then it's hail, also about the size of an ocean liner. And then all of a sudden the ocean just decides, nope, and then just goes straight down and there's a hole. That's the kind of stuff I wanted to see more of the new world. Now, we do get to see weird little parts of it. When the Straw Hats were going from Zoe to Totland, they had to sail through the hot, hot sea, a place where the water is just boiling. That's where Luffy caught that giant stonefish and almost died, and then Reiju had to save him by sucking out the poison. Out the poison! That's an important caveat to that sentence, you know? So there's places like that we see, like, oh, okay, that's pretty unique. Just a patch of the ocean where the whole thing is boiling. Or Totland itself. Totland is probably the most interesting part so far to me, because you have the whole ocean filled with, like, cream. There's cream and juice coming out of the islands, and of course this is mostly because of, you know, Big Mom's ability and Sparrow's ability, and all the people of Totland have all these food-themed devil fruits, you know, like Flower Island, you know, I'm sure, you know, Katakuri uses his mochi to make that giant donut, you know, kind of stuff like that, and then Big Mom can turn them into homies, right? So, yeah, Thailand is the most interesting in that, just being basically a glorified Candyland. But yeah, it's a really interesting place to sail through. But beyond that, I mean, we don't really have that many moments with the crazy seas in between. Like, whenever we get to an island, it's always like, oh, we're getting to Wano, you got the kois that we have to sail up, okay? But I would like to see maybe a little just more random weather patterns in the middle of the ocean. Stuff that just literally defies logic. Like, the Straw Hats are just sailing through the New World, and then all of a sudden it just starts raining swords. Like, actual legit swords. It just, holy crap, it's raining swords! You know, Zoro's grabbing the swords and slicing up the other swords, you know, like stuff like that. Or maybe not even rain, because I'm using rain a lot. What if they're just sailing around, and then they encounter a Sea King, but the Sea King gets eaten by a bigger Sea King, and that Sea King gets eaten by a bigger Sea King, and then that Sea King is like a giant koala bear. Yeah, stuff like that. Stuff like that I'd like to see more of, you know, just stuff where you'd stop for a minute, and like going back to the Toriko example, when that mountain rain came down, a giant pelican swoops out of the sky and eats the mountain. Because it's a mountain eater. It's a bird that evolved with the sole purpose of catching mountains in its giant pelican beak. What's that thing called with pelicans? You know, that thing they got that giant, is that just their mouth? That probably has like their satchel or something? I don't know. There's probably a term for it, right? But anyway, they catch it in their satch, and then they just eat the mountains, and they fly away. That kind of stuff would be crazy. It's raining ninjas. It's just like, okay, shit, you know, it's raining ninjas, you know? Oh, man. Oda, you could have a lot more fun with this. You know, you really could. But yeah, New World itself is definitely going to get more intense when we get to more crazy islands. Like, approaching the land of Wano was so dangerous. If we're ever approaching the land of Elbaf, that'll probably also be kind of dangerous. I think when Big Mom got, you know, Operation Beached Whale, when Big Mom got dropped off on Elbaf when she was a little girl, when the people that dropped her off, her biological parents, they were sailing away, that one pirate captain that helped drop her off was just like, we gotta get going. These seas are dangerous around here, and they sail away. Maybe at night around Elbaf, some crazy giants from Norse mythology come out to like torment the area or like block off the entry or something like that. Obviously, getting to Laugh Tale is unique, so not even just finding the road poneglyphs and like the location, like, all right, boom, right there, we found all 4 road poneglyphs, we linked it up, this moment, this point right here, this is where Laugh Tale is. Even if you know exactly where it is, it's probably going to still be really difficult to get to, weather-wise. There's probably something you're going to have to do, like, it's like in a video game where you enter fog area, and it's like if you keep going forward, you just keep looping, so you gotta go like, okay, in, then left, and then 3 rights, and then up, and then down, and then 2 more rights, and then a left, and then diagonal, and then right, left, and then you can finally get out of the fog. You know, something like that kind of happening would be kind of cool, right? Sort of a cliche when it comes to video games, rooms and areas like that. There was even one in Breath of the Wild, but, you know, I think it would work for One Piece. I think you could make it work somehow. And thus, with all that stuff and the stuff that I threw out there as a possibility, what could exist coming up, it's no wonder why, after arriving at the second half, people call the first half paradise. Because the first half, with all of its crazy weather patterns and nonsense, is considered paradise compared to the New World. Now, if you live on an island in the New World and you were born and raised there your whole life, you know, you probably don't encounter these weather patterns very much or how crazy the world is, right, if you just stay on your island. But imagine that, being like landlocked on one island your entire life. Oh, by the way, something else. Even going beyond the land of Totland, you have an island with giant apple mountains and an island apparently made out of broccoli. And these islands aren't even part of Totland, so yeah, it's pretty crazy nonsense. Oda really likes the food theme, and I like it. Can we get an island with like could I finally realize my dream? An island with a never-ending waterfall that spews lemon-flavored iced tea? Maybe someday. Maybe someday. You realize if I awaken a genie from a lamp and I get 3 wishes, that's literally going to be one of them, right? Like, you know, if it becomes world news, like, in recent news, Tekking101 discovers a magic lamp that gives him 3 wishes that only he can make. And the entire world is just like, wish for, like, world peace, or wish for starvation. I mean, answer to don't wish for starvation. Wish for an answer to starvation, or something like that. He's like, you know, The one wish is already locked in. It's gonna be the endless iced tea waterfall, okay? That you could drink as much of it and no ill effects from, like, the sugar. It's just, you could just drink it and you'll be fine, okay? You could drink a swimming pool of the stuff and you'll be okay. That's the first wish. That's getting locked in. Well, actually, no, I have to make a second wish. I have to bring Nico Robin into the physical world, so that's another wish that's locked in, so I guess you could decide on the third wish, but just understand, if I ever get access to that power, that's what's gonna happen, basically. Endless iced tea waterfall and Nico Robin. Alright, but the third one is up for debate. Alright, well, anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video on a National Geographical Day. National Geographic? That's what we should call it. National Geographic Day. I don't think anybody has the copyright on that, but no. It's a great day, so celebrate it by going out there in the world and just appreciating geography. Go out into your backyard and just look down at the earth and just say, thank you. Walk into a Barnes & Noble, go into the world map section and just hug an atlas. Just hug an atlas today. I was actually in there last night, and the second edition of Atlas Obscura is actually on sale now, so maybe if another creepy, V for Vendetta dude wants to sneak into my house this Christmas and bring me another copy of Atlas Obscura, I wouldn't complain. Alright, thanks for watching, everybody, on this lovely day. Have a good one, everybody. Sorry if I was a little bit too hyper with this one, but this is effectively my third Christmas of the year. You have Christmas on the 25th, and my family was raised, Ukrainian Orthodox, so we celebrated Christmas on January 7th, and so this is the third one, though. And they're all bundled around the November, December, January. I have 3 Christmases, one after another, so, and I guess my birthday, too. But no, Geography Day is more important than my birthday, okay? Have a great one, everybody. Signing out. Hey everybody, Chibi Tekking here. Don't click off the video yet because we're kicking off a brand new segment called Real World Geography is Everything, where we take a look at actual locations on the planet Earth that we are currently living on right now. This means you, that are pretty unique. So you guys all know about Zunisha, right? The giant elephant that has Zoe on its back that's been wandering the seas aimlessly for 1,000 years because of a promise that it broke. That poor sad creature. Well, did you know it actually existed in real life? Kind of. In fact, there are a few locations all over the world that kind of resemble elephants in the ocean, these rock formations that form. There's one off the coast of New Zealand, and there's one off the coast of Iceland, just to be named some famous ones, but they're kind of all over the place. If you just do a Google search, you can find a bunch of rock formations that, oddly enough, resemble an elephant in some way, shape, or form, and I would be remiss to not think that Oda did indeed take some inspiration from these actual real-world locations when he created Zunisha, as Oda tends to do with a lot of the islands. He takes bases from real life. So, yeah, there's your Real World Geography is Everything moment. Have a great one, everybody. Happy GIS Day. Signing out.